I think we're ready to go. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the April 1st, 2025 meeting of the Orland Park Plan Commission. I will now call the meeting to order, first with our roll call. I'm Chairman Parisi, and obviously I'm here. Vice Chairman Schuessler?
Here.
Commissioner Paul?
Here.
Commissioner Zamparelli?
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Here.
Commissioner Nugent?
Here.
And we're missing Commissioner Zatar.
Yeah.
Okay. We've all had an opportunity to, I hope, what?
Pledge.
Oh, you see there's elections going on and I'm not doing the pledge. What the heck? I'm sorry. Could we all stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pat. Okay. I hope we've all had a chance to review the minutes of the March 18th meeting, and so I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schuessler.
move the minutes for the March 18th, 2025 meeting be approved as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuessler and seconded by Commissioner Zamparelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, nobody's opposed.
I abstain.
Well, yes, Dan, you have to abstain. You weren't here last time.
That's right.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I move we open public hearing number 2025-0158, Mill Creek zoning map amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schuessler. All in favor?
Aye.
Staff?
Good evening. So I'd like to begin by requesting that the staff report be entered into the record as presented. So these 6 cases that are here tonight are village-initiated rezonings for the open land sites that are currently zoned estate residential. So I'll begin with a brief background that relates to every case on the agenda, but this case in particular relates to the Mill Creek property. So then we will open and close each case individually for discussion one at a time. So the village currently owns over 400 properties, and we have been reviewing a list of village-owned properties to make sure that everyone has correct and accurate information on these parcels. So what we found is that several of the open land sites did not get rezoned or annexed upon donation or acquisition. So we've already begun to correct some of these at previous Plan Commission meetings, and our goal is to address the remaining parcels. And here's just a list of the open land sites. So all the properties this evening are proposed to be rezoned to open space, and this district ensures access and protection of natural areas, recreation sites, and providing additional recreational opportunities. The zoning district prohibits private development and any public facilities unrelated to the operation or protection of parks or natural spaces. And these subject properties are all parcels within our open space framework plan based on the 2013 comprehensive plan. And they identify all 6 of these as natural resources that should be preserved. And now I'll jump into the Mill Creek parcels. So these parcels are located just south of 135th Street and Southwest Highway in the Carl Sandburg Planning District. The goal is to rezone these to open space, and no development is proposed with this petition. So up on the map, you'll see they're outlined in yellow. There are 9 lots located just in the wetland area off of Southwest Highway. It's located just north of the ComEd lines. They're not developable due to the wetlands located on their site. And then the shape of the long skinny parcel on the west is too narrow to allow for any development.
I went to buy that years ago.
So the comprehensive plan designates these for open space use, so that's what the petition is here for tonight. And currently, here's an image of our current zoning map. These parcels were unincorporated. They were all brought into the village as our standard E1 residential zoning. So staff recommends that the Plan Commission approves the zoning map amendment for the Mill Creek parcels from the E1 Estate Residential District to the OS Open Space District. And up on the screens, the staff recommended motion. Thank you.
Thank you. We should amend our minutes to reflect that Commissioner Tatar has joined us. 7:05 PM. Thank you. This is an open hearing, and I see a number of folks from the public are here. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come. And I would invite, does anybody have any particular questions or issues concerning this? We'd certainly like to hear you if you do. No? Okay. Well, just the same, thank you. Thank you for coming. I'll go to my commissioners now, and we'll start with Commissioner Zamparelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have any questions. I think it's about the proper time to get all these corrected. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nugent.
No questions.
Commissioner Schuessler.
No questions.
Commissioner Paul.
No questions.
Commissioner Sanchez.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Zatar.
Maybe I just have a question for the staff. Are we doing, these are all very similar requests. Are we doing them all one by one?
So I just finished a presentation on how we will be rezoning all of the parcels.
I'm sorry, I was
from
late.
E1. Yeah, sorry about
Okay.
that. So we'll just be presenting each one individually.
Okay.
The next 5 should be brief.
Okay, no issues, no comments on this one.
Okay. I have no questions either, so I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schuessler.
regarding case number 2025-0158, also known as Mill Creek Open Lands Zoning Map Amendment, move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuessler, seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed? Okay, thank you. So I move that we close that hearing and open public hearing number 2025-0159, Lake Sedgwick Shoreline Zoning Map Amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Staff?
Yeah, so this parcel is located at 10100 159th Street and was purchased using open lands funds back in 2016. The village is seeking to rezone this one from E1 to the OS Open Space District as well. You can see it up here on the map. It is about an acre and a half in size. It's all trees and wetlands. There is an existing driveway on the site, but there's no development there currently. And our comprehensive plan designates the area for open space in parks and recreation, and it also identifies it as an open land site, which has currently been done. And here's the current zoning map of the property, and by approving the zoning change, the area will be consistent with the surrounding area. And staff recommends approval of the zoning map amendment for the Lake Sedgwick shoreline from E1 to open space. And here's the motion.
Thank you. Once again, anybody from the public? Yes, please. By the way, if anybody from the public wants to speak, you're going to come up to the podium. This is a recording meeting, so we'll have to swear you in. Okay? So if you would raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Your name and address for the record, please.
sure. I'm Christine Lang.
Christine Lane?
Yes.
Okay?
And,
Can you raise the microphone so we can hear you better?
sure.
There you
You're
go.
a
Yeah.
tall- You're a tall lady.
Better? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I have a little bit of a shiner. I just had eye surgery, so you should see the other guy. I should tell you that way. No, I'm kidding. So, I came to this meeting because I own 10300 West 159th Street, which is dead center between these two properties that you're talking about rezoning. and my property is E1. The property is right now where I live and have had occupancy for many, many years. The property's been in my family for over 170 years.
Why?
As was all of the lake where Centennial Park is to the south, or to the north, I'm sorry. And my father actually developed Lake Sedgwick over the course of 30 years, Jim G. Sr. And he did that, dug that lake out and took all the dirt and sold it out of his, it was very peat-rich soil, and he sold it out of his yards. And then at the end of that point, when he had 30 feet deep in the center of the lake, he hit, this was all farmland that he grew up on. The G family farm was on 108th Avenue and extended quite a ways. And he, having grown up here, hit the spring on his final dig because he knew where the spring was. This was all parkland, farmland that he grew up on, and he hit the spring and then it filled up the body of water, and he stocked the lake with bass and bluegill. Then he and his brother George donated, for the most part. There was some exchange of money, but for the most part, he donated the land on the north side of the lake to become the park. And the understanding was that that would happen, and the property, the subject property of 10300, which initially had the address of 10100, would be left untouched. We've had floated some ideas while my father was alive to develop that parcel. He owned also the land to the west of me, and that's the next parcel that's coming up on this subject line here. So I have a lot of question about how this is going to roll out, how it impacts me and my property and my land for my family and the future generations here. I'll leave it at that. And I see Ed Schussler's up here. So hi, Ed. Anyway, that's where I'm at with this. And my brother, Jim G. Jr., is in Lake Geneva, and he's in his 80s, and he's not driving up here. But we're inquiring about it.
That's a very interesting piece of history you're giving us. Thank you. So are you concerned about how that may affect the status or usage of the parcel that you still own?
Of my property, yes.
It would
yeah.
change?
Well, it's E1,
Yeah.
and you're suggesting that the parcels that flank it on either side are going to change, so yeah, I'm concerned about it,
Yeah.
of course.
Any thoughts on that?
So there's no changes proposed with the land use. There's not been any plans or anything floated. It's kind of just on the back end, we're correcting it. As you said, your father donated the land to the village. So we're just correcting that by turning it into our park zoning, our open space zoning for preservation.
Right, he donated the land on the north side of the lake, not on the south side of the lake. That was all ours.
Yeah.
And was to be left untouched. So.
So they're changing the zoning to align it with the way it's been used. Correct?
Except that it has been used by us, and he brought some things to the village, some actual plans, some proposals for a senior center. There were a couple different things, and I actually have those drawings, which I can bring at another time. But I do have all of the things that he has brought over the years. I've also been talking to some people that have done some townhome development here about the possibility of doing a row of townhouses, lakefront that would be for 55 and older. And my participating in that and having ownership of one of those to stay there. So, anyway,
Thank
I
you,
came
yeah.
here to
Of
hear what
course,
was.
of course, the lots we're referring to here are owned by the village.
Each side of it, yes.
Correct.
10300.
So those are owned by the village.
As they are now, yes.
Yeah, and if anything, so to do anything, I mean, somebody arguably, the village would have to be, you know, you have a whole process. They'd have to acquire those lots and they'd have to
They
engineering and a plan and come back to the,
They would.
to us and to the trustees and everything. So that doesn't
Right.
seem very feasible at this point.
Some of the western property, though, which is not 10100, but the next one that's on your agenda tonight, that was part of his plan to use that for the senior center thing. So I would like to be able to bring those plans in for people to see them.
Yeah,
It's
well,
quite extraordinary and would be really beneficial to the community.
yeah. I think any such plans should be, if you needed to consult, it
could
would
be
be
a
to the
separate
development department.
That could be a separate discussion, but as of right now, both properties are village-owned, and there's no changes proposed tonight.
And your role is what?
I'm a planner here with the village.
One of the planners, okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you, all right.
Well, thank you so much. It was very interesting, it really was. Commissioners, Commissioner Zatar? Did anybody else have something to say on that? No, okay, thank you. Commissioner Zatar?
I'll just try to react to your statements. I think the story was great. You may have caused some confusion when you said we're just changing it similar to the adjacent properties, and she made it very clear that she has an adjacent property, but hers is privately owned. So you're talking about the village-owned adjacent properties. So, you know, the current mayor is on his second term, and made it very clear when he came into office here that the city, or village, sorry, of Orland Park is no longer in the real estate development business, right? That was made clear when 9750 failed, or as many people would say, failed. And so this village-owned property was bought for the purpose, or acquired for the purpose of being open land. And so the planners are doing their job here to reclassify all the village-owned property to become open space or parks designated space. So until, and the plan is that we will not develop that with any buildings or anything other than parks. And if there is a plan to develop it, it'll probably require first being sold by the village, and then someone else would have to put forward a plan to develop it. But, so I just wanted to react to your statements. These properties are open and will remain open, and at least I'll be voting on making them open space. So that's my comment.
Thanks, Joe. I gotta go through our commissioners. Well, you know what, it's a little bit out of the ordinary. We're not gonna have a back and forth. So why don't we let my commissioners have their say, and then I would be happy to give you the floor a little bit more. Commissioner Sanchez?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Paul?
No, I think, my understanding is these are village-owned parcels to begin with. And all we're doing is just making it official that this is going to remain open land. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Christine, thank you for the little history there. I didn't realize that Lake Sedgwick was 30 feet down, so thank you. And again, I'll confer with the rest of the commissioners that it's not going to be touched. The whole idea of this whole meeting tonight is to get all these properties in the proper category, all right? So I'm thinking, you were thinking that maybe you can use some of this land, am I correct? Were you thinking that if they put a nursing home or something, because you've got 5 acres, correct? Yes. Oh, Good, good, all right. All right, because I know you've got a nice 5 acres there, you know. But, all right, thank you, and thank you for your input, and that's all, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Nugent?
It's nice to hear the G history. I learned about the Gs when I was restoring my house. I used to own the last farmhouse built in Orland, a Hobonick house, and realized how important the G family was in town. But as they said, and there's been many things that the village has been doing today, trying to clean up old stuff. This isn't the first group of parcels, but there's properties that, the village acquired that aren't even in the village. One of them today is not even in the village. So we're just cleaning up old things, make sure everything's zoned properly and annexed in and controlled by the village. And we've had a number of the parcels and people are coming out. They're like, oh my God, we thought that was village-owned open space. Yes, and we're just making sure it is forever. So the people demanded that we do open space in the past and people picked spots. So we owe it to everybody now in the future to make sure these parcels stay as planned. Taxpayer money said make it open space and it is. So, but it'll be an enhancement for your property that it's surrounded by open space. We have a park department.
Yeah, well, right.
Yeah. Well, the people of Tinley Park would argue with you tonight about that, but.
One of the things that they wanted to do, which I enjoyed, is they were not talking.
This is true. Oh, that's right, you're talking now. Yeah, okay. Excuse me, Christine? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm interrupting you late, but, no.
And just, so
You
Parks and
need,
Recreation.
you need to
needs
be at the
forced.
podium,
This meeting is recorded.
because, yeah, we have mics in front of us. and
Sorry,
It's all recorded.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
So one of the things that was proposed by the village is to create a path all the way around the park, and they found that they were unable to do that. And the reason why is because of the creek that fronts 159th Street, and there's a lot of water, and, it's just a very narrow pathway.
Swale.
What I suggested to the village decades ago and to the park department, I think did I speak to you on the phone? Yeah. So what I suggested is that the way they have created boardwalks in Centennial Park, that they've done this on oceanic shorelines. So my suggestion is that we build a 12-foot or creek-wide boardwalk above the creek that runs from the railroad tracks all the way down to where the townhomes are, because the way the village put this thing together now is that pedestrians, people with dogs, kids on bicycles, they come up around the railroad tracks and then they hit around 104th Avenue and they have to cross 159th Street, which is now 4 lanes of very speedy traffic that sometimes goes 50, 60 miles an hour. They're not supposed to, but they do. And it's very dangerous for that foot traffic, especially the little kids and the dogs and so forth, to be crossing 159th Street and then to go east and then to cross back 159th Street down at Ravinia to get around the lake. And this would be a wonderful way to make the path around the lake consistent and solid and have that IDOT wall that is a protective barrier to 159th Street to insulate all of the citizens of Orland Park, or those that come here to enjoy our parks, to enjoy that path all the way around. It would be one constant flow. So that was.
I understand, and it's very interesting
Yeah, I would
what you
invite.
have, but it's clearly something that you shouldn't come before this committee.
Okay.
But I,
We all know people.
but it's all right, we heard you first.
Yeah,
So,
you heard me
but,
first, and he heard me first. And actually, the parks guy is an Italian last name I can't think of right now. What's his name?
Ray Piatoni. I provided Ms. Lang the contact information for the
did you?
recreation department.
Okay.
Yeah, and he knows. And I would invite anybody that wants to come over to my house. I can show you when we stand on the bridge, the path the creek runs going east or west. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Thank you
An
so
hour
much.
ago was the Parks meeting, so you might go there for new business, but go to their next meeting, I think on the 15th, and you can maybe start the conversation with, I won't quote it.
18th, I think, isn't it?
18th? It's on the public website,
No, it should be.
but it'd be good to start the
be the 15th,
conversation.
It'd be the 15th.
2 weeks, you're right.
And the
Okay.
bike path extensions are going on as we speak.
Okay, well,
So that's a separate issue. And I have no further questions.
thank you, John. Commissioner Schussler?
Yeah, staff, can you put up the picture again of the parcel we're talking about? Okay, I'd like to clarify one thing. Is Ms. Lang's parcel the only one that's privately owned between the townhouses and Centennial Park on the west?
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the connection she's talking about that would be over the creek would be able to connect all of Centennial then, right?
Correct.
It's a wonderful idea. That's all I'll say. It's a wonderful idea. I have one other question, and I think I know the answer. I believe part of your property extends into the lake, doesn't it?
Please, yes.
Yes, I have 200 feet of riparian rights out into the water. And my father, initially when we were out there, the little island that you see to the left of the yellow outlined circle there, that island that Mr. Zamparelli is pointing to, is that correct pronunciation?
Very
Okay.
well, very good.
Okay, yeah. So that island used to connect the north side and the south side of the lake. The lake was split into two. So we actually used to walk all the way across to the south side from the north or vice versa. And when the village put the park together, someone decided they were going to break that body apart in the center. When you're boating there, it's very easy to get stuck.
Pretty shallow.
Yeah, with your boat, and I sail that lake all the time on a 16-foot Hobie Cat, and I always have to get out and push it across that little barrier there. But we have a peninsula at our property, our parcel, that juts out towards what we now call, our family calls Goose Island, because the geese come there and have come there for all the years. And my father, every day for probably 80 years, fed them corn from Ludwig's corn, and I continue to give them corn. And they come and they have their babies there. There are also 2 American eagles that live on my property in a tree. They nest there, and they've been there for several years now. But there's also to the west of that little island, on the part that juts out, there's a beaver dam there, and there's a beaver home. And so that's a natural habitat, wildlife habitat there for a lot of critters that you're not seeing. We have deer that come through. I've seen unfortunately, packs of coyotes, but they deserve a life just like anything, you know. But the Goose Island, as I said, it used to connect both bodies of water, and I have a peninsula on my parcel that actually juts out towards that.
Well, thank you again. It's a very interesting bit of history. Thank you.
First and third Mondays, Lobby Center, 6 p.m.
Anything else, Ed?
No, I've got a motion, if you're ready.
Yeah, I don't have anything, so I'll entertain a motion.
I would move regarding case number 2025-0159, also known as Lake Sedgwick Shoreline Zoning Map Amendment Number 1. I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schussler, seconded by Commissioner Paul. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed? What'd you say?
At all.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. I move that we close the Lake Sedgwick public hearing, and we open public hearing number 2025-0160, Lake Sedgwick Shoreline Zoning Map Amendment.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schussler, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Staff?
Yes, so I'd like to begin by requesting that the staff report be entered into the record as written. And we did touch on this a little bit during the previous conversation, but this parcel is 10350 159th Street. It was purchased using open lands funds back in 2011. And we're also here to rezone that property from the E1 Estate Residential to the OS Open Space District. This is a vacant parcel. It's directly east of Miss Lang's house. And there's no direct access to the property from 159th Street because the entire frontage has a large concrete barricade.
Is it west or east of her property?
I'm sorry, west. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, you mentioned that.
The comprehensive plan designates this area as open space, and the property was owned by the Open Lands Commission prior to the last comprehensive plan update. And here's the current zoning, and by approving this motion, the property would be rezoned to open space. And staff recommends approval from E1 to OS for this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? I think we covered, you've covered this for us already, Christine. But I'll go to my commissioners. Commissioner Schussler?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Nugent?
I have none.
Commissioner Zamparelli?
No questions.
Commissioner Zatar? Commissioner Sanchez?
No questions from me.
Commissioner Paul?
No questions.
And I have no questions, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schussler?
regarding case number 2025-0160, also known as Lake Sedgwick Shoreline Zoning Map Amendment 2, move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Planning Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schussler, seconded by Commissioner Paul. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Close this public hearing on Lake Sedgwick Shoreline Zoning and open public hearing number 2025-0161, Hoffman Woods Zoning Map Amendment.
Second.
Staff?
All right, so I'd like to begin by requesting that the staff report is entered into the record. This parcel is located at 17601 116th Avenue and is an open land site purchased in 2004. And again, we're here to rezone from E1 to OS. The Hoffman Woods site is surrounded by the Orland Woods 1, 2, and 3 neighborhood. It's directly south of the Orland Woods Park. And there was an ordinance approved annexing this property back in 2004, but there was no actual plat of annexation created. So we officially recorded this ordinance and its incorporation in January of this year. So here's the proposed zoning map, or zoning for the site as open space. And staff recommends that the Plan Commission approve the rezoning for Hoffman Woods from E1 to OS. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody from the public here to make comment on this? If not, I'll go to my commissioners. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular property has a lot of trees on it. We have no intention on touching any of those trees, correct?
That's correct.
Just going to leave it nice and pretty the way it is.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Nugent?
So with the zoning, doing that, is there any distinction with Orland Woods Parks zoning? Like, what is that zone?
So Orland Woods Park is zoned open space already. It was incorporated into the village. It was just this parcel just south of there that wasn't. So we're just correcting that issue.
So the Parks Department and the Rec Committee, if they decide they want to add another 10 feet of whatever I know people that have joined that park, but whatever we do at the park, we can do that. We're not restricted with that. It doesn't, like, we can cut down a few trees and.
Yeah, we would have to go with our tree mitigation requirements.
So there'll be one in the, yeah, other than guidelines, but.
But yeah, as long as the open lands, the open space zoning does allow for recreational uses. So I know right now there's zero intention on changing anything with the park with this case, but if
Yeah, just for the future.
in the future, that's a possibility.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Thank you, John. Commissioner Schuster?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zatar? Commissioner Sanchez?
Seems pretty straightforward, no questions.
Yes, Commissioner Paul?
Yeah, no question.
I have no questions, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schuster?
regarding case number 2025-0161, also known as Hoffman Woods zoning map amendment, move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Planning Commission for this case.
Motion by Commissioner Schuster,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, moving on. I move that we close public hearing number 2025-0161 and open public hearing number 2025-0162, Stellwagen Farm zoning map amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Staff?
Aye.
I would like to begin by requesting that the staff report is entered into the record as written and as presented. The Stellwagen Farmstead is an open land site acquired through a life estate back in 2002. And again, we're looking to bring it from E1 estate residential to open space. It's located in the Grasslands Planning District, and its land use is designated for open space, parks, and recreation. The farm's about 57.5 acres in size and contains the perimeter path around that's very popular, and the surrounding area of the farm is fully residential. The comprehensive plan recommends that this parcel's land use be used for open space, parks, and recreation purposes, and it does recommend that perimeter path, which since has been constructed. So there was an ordinance approving annexing this property back in 2002, but no plat of annexation was ever created at the time. So we officially recorded the annexation in January of this year. So the property is now officially within the village limits, and by default, that makes it zoned E1 estate residential. And staff recommends that the Plan Commission approves this rezoning from E1 to OS open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody from the public here for, yes, please, step up to the microphone. Thank you. Raise your right hand.
Raise your hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your name and address for the records, please.
My name is Betty Stellwagen Maui.
Oh.
My address is 380 North Marley Road, New Lenox, Illinois.
And, yes.
And as a family, my dad gave this, well, to the open lands with the intent of it staying open lands. And some of it is restored prairie, some of it is still farmed. He put money into restoring the exterior of all the farm buildings, so they're in good condition. His word with that is if I give it to Orland in good shape, I hope they'll take care of it. But his desire was for it to be open lands or farmland. And so the part we're a little concerned about is when this comes up for discussion and we say here recreation, does that leave it open as a potential that it could have ball fields on it, et cetera? That's our concern there.
So that's not the intention with this petition. There's no work being proposed. And I believe several years ago, they just finished some rehabilitation for some of the other open areas of Stellwagen. So I know that work's been completed, and the intention is to just leave it as is.
That was just our concern when we saw a rezoning sign, that we would like it to remain open. That was, our father's intent.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the
Okay.
time. Much
Appreciate it.
appreciated.
And again, she was talking about the history. It's been in our family since 1860.
Wow.
So
Did you grow up there at the house?
I grew up there, yes.
Did you?
Oh, what a nice piece.
Very interesting property.
Yeah, yeah. And we enjoy being able to go back. My brother and I'll do a farm tour again this September. We've had a little plot that we do with gardening, had different Girl Scout troops come out and plant pumpkins, et cetera. So we kind of maintain the flower beds and.
Orland's doing a good job maintaining that as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
you've done a
yes,
great
they
job.
have.
You know,
Yep, you have.
The one thing, if I might just add, that we're really anxious to do is to get the house finished. That originally was the plan, to get the house restored as a museum.
Oh,
And we as a family are very anxious to see
I
that
think
happen.
there's a plan and they're working on that.
So,
okay. Well, thank you so much.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Zatar, anything?
Yeah, I feel terrible saying what's on my mind right now after hearing the story.
Maybe you shouldn't then.
After hearing the story, you know? Listen, the first thing that comes to my mind about all these pieces of land is, they don't look like they should be used, except for this one. It's 57 acres of land surrounded by residential neighborhoods. And then you have like Mission Park right next to it. And so like I scratch my head on this one. There's no water. There's no trees. Why is it not a subdivision? That's what I think about. And to hear the story about, I read it, but hearing it from you is nice too. Your father donated it. I'm curious, what is the village's long-term master plan? I assume back in the day it was accept donations, which alleviates property tax, but it's still generous. It's a generous act for them to donate this much land, but I mean, this is worth a ton of money, and I just wonder, how long is it just gonna stay a farmland, right? So I can't help but say it, but personally, I wouldn't immediately want to vote to make this an open line, but thank you for the story. So I feel like the board, and the village, and the planners need to figure out what would be done with a piece of land like this. Will it be a ball field? Will it be just a path surrounding an old farm? What is it gonna be, right? So, do you have any idea?
There are no plans currently.
Yeah. It's a burden. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts, Joe. Commissioner Sanchez?
I am personally really happy to hear it's staying open lands and not going to be developed into anything, so I don't have any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Paul?
Today, we're deciding if we're gonna make it open lands. If something were to change, this would all have to start over again anyway, so as it stands right now, yeah. I mean, let's make it open space.
Okay, understood. Understood. Commissioner Schussler?
I don't think it can be anything but open space, because I believe in addition to Orland Stellwagen, your father, donating part of it, I believe part of it was purchased with a grant from the state or federal government. I think it may be the federal through the state. Anyway, there's some kind of a grant involved, and there are restrictions on those grants that you can't acquire property with one of those grants and then sell it and develop it. So I think it's going to be open space in perpetuity. I was on the village board when it was acquired, and I was on the school board before that, and we had a school by the name of Maui. I think that's your relative that was named after that school. So Stellwagons and Maui's have been around for a long time in Orland Park. They're part of the history. But long and short of it is, I think it has to remain open space. So all we're doing is changing the designation, but I know I live near there. I see some of my neighbors here. They walk that path all the time, and they don't want it to be anything but open space, so.
thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah,
Because
thank you for that, yes.
Good story.
Yes, Commissioner Nugent?
Yeah, when we here debated the future of the Boley Farm, we realized we can only have so many farm estates for open space, and unfortunately, when Boley Farm got acquired, there was zero money dedicated to preserve it, and it already had condition issues. So the village has publicly, like in the public discussion for Boley Farm, said Stellwagen is going to be our village historic farm, and that is its purpose in open space. And anything you see in the publications, the village website, talks about, we even now have programs at Stellwagen, but it is a historic farm site and it's going to remain that. And the good news about tonight is it now gives it the status of protection that it needs, that it technically didn't have. It was zoned, estate zoning. It was eligible to be developed, even though the grants and everything would say, no, you can't. So now it's getting the protection it deserved before, and now we'll have forever. And I have no questions.
Thanks, John. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ed, Mr. Chairman Schuessler, thanks for clarifying that, because I seen Ms. Stellwagen, she was a little angry there, it looked like. So it's safe property, and I do like the open lands. I do think it's a great place to build a home, but it will never see a home there. But I do have a question for your husband. Maui School, was that not on 179th, the school, right? On the south side. My mother worked there, so 100 years ago or whenever because they tore that school down and kept the old house, the farmhouse. Was that your family? That old house is still there. We're 108 zigs around it now.
It went for sale this week.
Did it? Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, I love all the history we're getting tonight. So,
Yeah, we are.
It's been great, but that's all. I
Yes.
just, my simple
No,
question.
thank you. I do
Thanks.
too.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
No, please.
So I'll say, I don't feel terrible that I said something, because I think it allowed for me to learn a lot more than just the story you gave. So thank you to the folks who have more history than me.
Thanks, Joe. I hope we put your mind at ease a little bit, huh? Okay, Betty, I have nothing to add. You wanted to say something, Betty? Would you like to come up, please?
It's just, I was thinking possibly what I had said before got misconstrued or something, because it wasn't that my dad gave the farm, he gave it at a decent price, but he did sell it. But, and it was with, what do we say?
Open Lands Fund.
Open Lands bought it, but they had a grant from a State Department of Natural Resources.
Okay.
I think there was part, and the part of that was to make it a prairie.
Yeah.
And then my dad said kids aren't going to know where their food comes from, so it was his desire, instead of just being open lands, to restore the farm buildings and have it there so children in the future could understand farming.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to clarify that.
No, I
that wasn't
appreciate
saying
that.
he donated it totally.
That's okay. Thank
Betty,
you.
how many acres did they actually have originally?
Farmed 160.
160? Mm-hmm. Okay, we got 58 now, I think.
Right, yeah, because part of it was sold off prior to, and part of it was, my grandfather and his brother owned it. My dad never owned the whole thing, and so the brother's part got sold off first.
Well, thanks again for the history.
Yes, thank you
Thank you.
again. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you one more piece of history.
Please. Commissioner Schuessler, please.
The village negotiated with the Stellwagen family, and at that time, I forget how old Mr. Stellwagen was, your dad, but the arrangement was that he would have a life estate, which in legal terms means he was given the right to remain on his farm for the rest of his life at no rent, and consideration of the fact that he was selling it to the village for a very reasonable price. So that's history. Anyway, I'll move
Okay.
that regarding case number 2025-0162, also known as Stellwagen Farm zoning map amendment, that I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
And I will second you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed? Thank you. Thank you again. I move that we close public hearing number 2025-0162 and open public hearing number 2025-0163, the Arbor Lake zoning map amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schuessler. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Staff?
Yep, I would like to begin by requesting that the staff report is entered into the record as written and as presented. Arbor Lake is a park located at 155th Street and Wilcook Road. It was purchased by the Open Lands Commission in 2002, and the plat of annexation and the annexation ordinance was recorded in January this past year. Here's an aerial view. It is a 29.5 acre parcel surrounded by residential on 3 sides and wetlands to the east of the property. The site has been improved with a pergola, walking paths, and is already being used as a park. And here is our zoning map for the property, as the property is now incorporated as E1 Estate Residential. And staff recommends that the Plan Commission approve the Arbor Lake rezoning from E1 to open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody here for this? No, okay. I'll go once again to my commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Zamparelli.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to ask for public comment?
Excuse me?
You going to ask for public comment?
I already did.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did I miss that? I must be sleeping.
No, you're not, you're wide awake, thank you.
Just one question. Was there 4 parcels there?
Correct, there's 4 parcels. It's a little confusing. We need to update their addresses.
Can you put the map up?
Yes. It is like a crescent shape.
Yep, there was 4. Okay. That's all. I really pretty cut and dry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Nugent, anything?
So it's maybe typos, but you know, the first line of the project where they use the 9301 143rd Street address, is there a relationship with that property?
That is an error on my part. I use this as a template from a previous report.
And then is one of the addresses really 11754 Juanita? Because isn't Juanita south of 159?
Juanita is south, but it is, apparently if the right-of-way extended directly north, it would be on the east side of that property in former right-of-way. So I actually found this address from Cook County. That's where the plat of annexation was recorded. So we are working with our GIS consultants to update the addresses here. Because we also have a Wolf Road address on one of these. And Wolf Road extend, that's a little ways away.
Where's Juanita on that map?
Juanita is further south. I don't know if I can pull it up.
Interstate 159.
It would be south of this. You can't really see my mouse on the screen.
Well, Juanita is usually east of Will Cook, with the curve Will Cook south of 159, and itself is a curved street. So is there something going on with Juanita, or just did Juanita used to swing over here at some point?
So if Juanita continued directly north past 159th, it would extend to the east end of this property here.
So it's just stubbed out there,
Yes.
okay?
Juanita used to go to 159th Street. When they widened it, they cut it off. It made it come off of Wilcook Road. But originally.
And then I believe it's stubbed many times through the wetlands, so, and then this parcel never developed, so the address just remained the same.
Okay,
And then it's the horseshoe, is what would complete the square, is that village owned?
I'm sorry?
What would complete, you know, take it from a C or horseshoe, if you made it a square, do we own that?
We do not own that parcel.
And is it owned by the property to the east?
Yes. To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. All right. And then one last question, and we still need to do the zoning, what we have there. In DeLuga Woods to the south, 150, you know, there's obviously a lot of water issues with DeLuga Woods. But would this allow, if they ever need it, if there was annexation, can it be part of any detention, runoff? Is that,
Detention is a permitted use within the open space district, so
okay. I have no further questions.
thank you, Jack. Commissioner Schuster?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Zatar? Commissioner Sanchez?
No questions.
Commissioner Paul?
No questions.
Nor have I. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schuster?
regarding case 2025-0163, also known as Arbor Lake zoning map amendment, I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuster, seconded by Commissioner Zamparelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Is anybody here for anything that's not on our agenda? No? Okay. So unless my fellow commissioners have any new business, I will make a motion that we adjourn at 7:55 PM.
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you all once again.